How's everybody doing?
Doing good. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, you got the YouTube link?
Not yet.
Check your email. It should say new link.
Just got it. Let me test it to make sure it's working.
Okay, perfect. I'm seeing about 10 people on here right now, including you and me.
Yep.
How's everybody doing?
Hey guys, Houghton's talking to you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, you got the YouTube link?
Not yet. Yes, go ahead and just mute yourself, but be on screen. Okay, you got to be on screen and you have to leave your masks on, okay? I don't think so. Okay.
I love you, homie. Okay, I'll catch you after this. Hello, hello.
Hello, Mike.
Oh, look at all those faces. Look at all the humans. Are you guys am I muted? No.
No, you're good.
Are y'all doing like the 3-2 kind of like half day, split days, hybrid situation? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, kind of. We have a gating criteria or return to school criteria that says that as long as we don't have any positive cases in the school and the numbers in our county or in our school district zone, not necessarily kids in the school, but people that live within our school district, everybody, adults and kids, as long as it stays below a certain number, we're in what's called green. Basically, a normal day, we have to wear masks. We did have 2 positive cases last week that put us into red, which means we had to immediately go to remote learning fully. And so we had 2 days of complete remote learning. And then this week we went to what we call hybrid, where today you're going to see some high school, some 10th through 12th graders, but we have 7th through 9th graders on campus today. Our 10th through 12th are remote learners. And then Monday, our 10 through 12 are the on campus and our 7-9 go to remote. We switch back and forth on that for 2 weeks. And then we're back to our in building with everybody.
Cool. Are you guys riding it out just at the December normal end date kind of semester sort of thing? Or are you trying to end early?
No, we're got a regular schedule. All the districts around here, we had a little late of a start. We delayed a week so our teachers could get everything ready in terms of the online format of teaching. And then from there, we're going to keep going through. Cool.
My little small farm town, like 2 weeks ago, I think it was 5th in the country per capita. Like 5% of the entire town got coronavirus in the same week. You know what I mean? And I think it was a lot of younger kids, so it wasn't like the hospitals were fine, because I think there's like probably 2 beds in our whole hospital. But like the hospital was fine. But I saw it on the news. It was like all of the counties, and then I saw Chase County, and our high school was called Chase County, and I was like, are you kidding me? But it was like 57 people got it in a town of 1,800 or whatever. So it was like that's a big chunk. That'd be like 8,000 people in Lincoln getting it in one week, you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, anyway, I was just curious, but
we've been pretty fortunate. We've had a very active health county officer and health county, the county medical director and officer have been pretty active, very good at educating. And we did not wait. When we canceled school at spring break last year, they anticipated this. And so they started planning then, and it's really made it a lot smoother transition for our schools. And our numbers stayed pretty low for the first 6 months. And what happened when we got back into school, what we expected to happen is our numbers started going up, and we had a pretty significant spike for us. I think we have 27 active cases in our county right now. The highest I think it's been is 28, but we've had over 100 and some. In the first 6 months, I think we were around 30, and then we've hit over 100 just in the last 3 weeks. So
yeah, it's crazy.
But it's being managed really well. People are being very responsible, and You know, and it's, you know, you learn something new every day about it. So you just have to adapt and adjust and go forward.
Totally. I got it September 29th and got destroyed. I still can't taste anything right now. Like I still don't have my sense of taste, sense of smell. I ate a whole onion like an apple just to see how real it was. I was like, all right, this will literally be the test. And so I just picked up an onion and like ate it and was just like, oh no, like there's just not, I could tell it was a disaster, like in my stomach and like back here, but I just had no taste. And so I didn't have any respiratory issues, which was cool. So yeah, hang in there, y'all. And so I'm looking at all the student pals. You guys doing all right? Everybody, we're hanging, surviving as much as we can with it. Cool. Well, so, I'm excited to be here with everyone today.
Yeah. And I think Neota Shea's supposed to have a group chime in also. Altoona is not with us today. I wanted to make sure it felt like they were with us in our discussions, and that's why I kept referring to them. They are on quarantine until tomorrow. They shut their school down for 2 weeks because of some stuff going on there. And they've been remote and learning online, but they start back up tomorrow, and they plan to watch the YouTube side of this. So I wanted to make sure they felt like they were still a part of it.
Cool.
But they will be joining in later. But Neota Shea was supposed to have a group come in. I haven't seen them pop in yet, unless I'm just not seeing them on here. But they may come in after a bit. So on this format, and if they're wearing a mask, that means they're at school. If they're not wearing a mask, that means they're outside of our school. We are on a state mandate to wear masks in school. So they're not allowed to pull it down if they're talking to you. They're going to have to make it work, basically. So
totally.
So how do you want this format to work? Do you want them just to all unmute and have a dialogue with you, or do you want to talk to them for a while and then say, hey, if you got a question, unmute?
Yeah, I think just go unmute unless like the library gets wild or you have that like one kid walk through who's super loud. You know how it gets. Like just watch the environment around you so it doesn't suck for everybody. But I would love to. So this is specifically, give me a little lay of the land. Is this like StuCo? Like this is our student council, or are these like hand-selected student leaders that are just kind of here for an extra hour of just leadership time? Like maybe help me with who all's here.
These are some students that are like the president of the StuCo or of FFA. Some of them are just students that we said, hey, we want you to set in because we see leadership in you. We see you having an influence in the school. You know you're not an officer or whatever, but we want to see that. Hey, everybody in the library mute.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to have to mute and unmute when they're talking, or else they're going to get really bad feedback. So
for sure. Yeah. Well, I would love to just maybe start a dialogue and just answer some questions. But I think my first question would be to all you leaders and all the student leaders. You know how I talked about kind of that like leaders have to stand and sort of just, even though you're in it and even though it's hard, you kind of have to stand and still learn how to give and learn how to like, lead. Does anybody have any stories this year about just like an event you guys were proud of or something that went good? Like I'm sure you've had to pivot and do things differently, but like, is there anything that you guys are stoked on or excited about that anybody wants to share? Because I would love to hear sort of just like the vibes that have gone on so far for the first couple months.
I'm excited about our fall play because we didn't think that we'd be able to have it, and then now they're letting us have it, but we still have to wear masks, but it's still going to be fun, and I'm glad that we can still have it.
Yeah, of course. It's cool to still get the things that you care about, and put a lot of time into like a fall play. And so I'm excited for you too. And that's awesome that you get to have it. And so when I talked about moments, do you guys remember when I talked about like the significant moments thing? Did anybody have an idea pop into their head about like, this is what I could do? You know what I mean? Not like what I want to do, but what I could actually like go do right now. And so anybody have any of those vibes? And if you don't start answering, I can see your name. So I'll just start calling on you. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're on mute, Elias or Hughes or Grace, I see you out there. And so if you need, I'll just start calling people specifically. But what are some moments you guys are trying to create this year, want to create this year?
Just a feeling of normalcy, or however you say it.
Mm-hmm. Who said that, by the way?
Aiden.
Oh, there we go. So I was like looking at all the masks to be like, which mask is moving? Aiden, so when you say normalcy, so you're upperclassman, is that right? Is that why you're home?
I'm still a lowerclassman.
Cool. I want to say this because you're not going to get a lot of love on this. that little mini dunk hoop on your door looks iconic and looks like a place I would want to posterize all my friends and try to hit shots off the wall or whatever I could. And so I see you, dude. I see what you're working with there. Normalcy. Let's talk about normalcy really quick in leadership. When we say normalcy, we're talking about not wearing masks, not being 6 feet apart, not doing a lot of things that I don't know how to say this anyway. The government and adults older than us are going to kind of control some of those things for a while. You know what I mean? It feels like that's where November and December headed, despite what happens on November 3rd, regardless of what anybody says. Like, we're probably going to be in this for a bit, at least until January, it looks like. And so eliminating the word, like, I think normalcy, if we all listed out the normalness, you know, and there's certain things we would circle and be like, that's not coming back for a bit. But when you say normalcy, Aiden, like, what are some other things you think we might be able to do that we used to do? Like, what other words, when you say normalcy, kind of come to mind besides just like the sheer physical distancing stuff and the mask stuff and the virtual Zoom stuff? Like, what other things do you think we've missed, but maybe we can try to bring back?
I don't really know it right now.
Think about what maybe you lost. So what do you do, Aiden? Like, what do you do? What are you into?
Oh, sports.
So did you lose some practice time, game time, field time, crew time? Like, that had to have go, right?
Yeah, we lost our game last Friday.
Got you. And so we could all probably point to the stuff that we didn't get, right? But in those moments, and this is where I say significant moment. I just think about this. Like, we lost an event down here when I got COVID, like when it happened and everybody had to quarantine. We weren't able to do a few in real life events. And so if you've been that person on your team who like gets sick and then nobody else can like do things, you feel such a level of like guilt and embarrassment and shame and scared, and you're bummed out because you cost your friend. Like, I know what that feels like, because it literally just happened to me 2 weeks ago. But the thing that we were able to try to do was, yes, the events and the games didn't happen, but there's still so many cool things around the events and the games that we can still try to bring to life, which is like one of our core values here is celebrate others. How many of you feel like you haven't been celebrated or like clapped for or appreciated or maybe even seen as much this year? Does anybody feel that way? Like, I know you're being seen on a tile, like I get that, but you know that like feeling of just like being with your friends and laughing and joking and just like the interpersonal, like some of that stuff's just like gone, you know? But that to me is normalcy, like the normalcy of relationships. I liked being in the bus just as much as playing in the game. And if you've ever been on a long road, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you feel me on that, you know? It's like, and some of that's gone, but it doesn't all have to be gone. And so what I would challenge you to do, Aiden, specifically, is like with your sports teams, with your crews, with your boys, with whoever, like, how can you bring back some of that, like that fun and that celebration and that, like that hype, you know? And I think that it's probably going to happen more in your like DMs and more in your group chats and more in your like private world where it would have happened with you and your homies. You know, you guys either get online and game together, you have your group chats, you've got your, like, you know how it is, like you got your friend group. I would say leaders in that moment, and you use the word normalcy, is think about all the things that you normally would be able to do if you played sports. You'd be hyped on each other. You'd be mad positive. Like that game you lost on Friday would have been like a lot of high fives. And I don't know what sport, football, is that what it was? You know what I mean? You know how it is. It's like the helmet smacking and the butt slapping and the chest bumping and the screaming and the let's goes and the like, you know what I mean? The dude tools some guy and he comes to the sideline and everybody's like, ah, you know what I mean? Like, I know what all that feels like. And it's like, that is gone, but you can recreate that in your own way. You just have to make those your significant moments of impact. And so for us, it was like, we get to celebrate. Skateboarding is one of those things when a kid lands a trick for the first time, the skate park explodes. It's cool about skateboarding because like football, it's like, you know, it's like you're literally clashing, but like skateboarders might be competing, but if somebody lands some crazy trick, everybody will slam their skateboards and people freak out. And like our skate school had to go away. So kids lost the, like, they got celebrated. And so that was the first thing we tried to bring back was like, how do we celebrate kids? Like, how do we do that? Like, how do we still make people feel special and feel important and feel seen and feel clapped for and like, oh my God, bro, like you did the craziest thing, even though he's like a third grader and it wasn't the craziest thing, but to him it was. Like, how do we still provide that? And so, Aiden, I think your moments, look at football, write down all the things you love about football, hanging out with my friends, laughing with my teammates, you know, making fun of the other team after we clown on them. You know what I mean? Like coming from the momentum, the excitement, like whatever it is, write all those down, dude. Write all those moments down and then go, okay, how many of these can I actually go create? I would say the same with FFA. Very different from football, but to the FFA president on this thing, like, you know how hyped it is when everybody's tossed on their purple corduroy jackets. You walked into like a livestock place, people are showing cattle or rabbits or whatever the heck's going down with FFA in your school. And like some of that's gone, but it doesn't have to be. Like you can get really creative with how you bring those things back. Nobody when coronavirus hit was like, oh, I know what the solution is. It's let's go build a ramp on a trailer and drive it around the kids' houses if they send us in skate videos. Like nobody thought of that day one. We thought of that because we wrote down all the moments we wanted and we were like, what are all the moments we want? We were like, this. And we were like, well, how the heck are we going to give a kid the celebration moment? And it was like, let's take the ramp to their house. Like, let's do that. And so Aiden, I challenge you to write out all the moments you love about a Friday night football game. Be extensive, be like really detailed, you know, like it's the night before eating like all the carbs with the boys, like the dinner at somebody's house the night before. There's so many things that people used to love about football, you know, that's more than just the game, and you can bring a lot of that back. And so I would say like find a way creatively to find your moments and bring those back. I know that was a super long rant, bro. I'm sorry. Does that help though, dude? Like I know normalcy's gone, but some of it is like things we can bring back, emotions we can bring back, things like that. We can't bring the physical event itself back, but it doesn't mean everything around it has to go. Does that make sense, dude?
Yeah.
Cool. If not, thanks for saying yeah and just ignore everything I said and you figure it out. But I would, if I were you, Aiden, I would write down football at the top of a sheet of paper, and then I would write my favorite moments from football and just write those out and be like, how can I recreate those for my friends? I would do the same thing with FFA. I would do the same thing with DECA. I would do the same thing with FBLA or whatever, your FCA, your youth groups, your Sunday schools, your CDCs. Like you guys all know those things. Like those are all things that exist in a small town that people go to religiously, literally and figuratively. And it's like some of that stuff's gone, but it doesn't have to be. We just have to get creative with it.
Hey, Mike, I want to real quick just interrupt and welcome Neodesha in. They are in now. It's
Cool.
A class of them in there. So Neodesha, if you can hear us, go ahead and wave back. Okay. So thank you for doing that. And if you guys have a question as Mike's talking, if somebody has a question, just come up to the screen and sit in front of it. And you can, I believe on any computer, just hold down the space bar and it will temporarily unmute you. You have to keep holding it while you talk. Then when you get done, just let up on the space bar and you'll be muted again. You don't have to go back and forth, mute, unmute, mute, unmute. Okay.
Cool. Who else has you know, Aiden talked about wanting normalcy back. What are some other things that you as leaders, whether you're middle schoolers or, you know, seniors or whatever, what are some of the moments? I specifically left the challenge of like, what are your moments? Let me explain it to you like this. Our staff, when coronavirus happened, it was like, these people were worried about losing their jobs. They were worried about like the impact that they were supposed to make. And instead of focusing on like all of those things, we just really simplified it. And we were like, what moments do we create that make a difference in a kid's life? And we really got it simple. You know what I mean? Like, you know how it is right now, the problems are so massive that it's like, it feels like just like scooping water out of the ocean and being like, did I make a difference? That's how it can feel. But for us, it was like, no, let's simplify it way down to a kid, one kid. And it was like, what is her moment? What does she need? What is his moment? What does he need? And we've been really effective. We've been celebrated. We won a lot of awards this year. We became a digital center of excellence, not because we did anything different. I just think it was because we didn't make the problem huge. We didn't look at masks. We didn't look at social distancing. We didn't look at politics. We looked at our kids and we were like, what do they need? What are their moments? And so, you know, your towns are tiny. I would say the same thing to you is like, what are those moments you want to create? And so, you know, let me toss it over to, what was the school? What's the name of the school that's on mute?
Neodesha.
Neodesha. All right, you guys, I'm specifically hollering at you right now. Like, think about what are some of the moments that you guys want to create in your leadership class. And so somebody roll up to that computer and be the spokesperson for your school. You know, someone's sort of in charge. Yeah, scoot that desk. I don't care. They're avoiding it. Someone from Neodesha. Thank you. I was about to call him the big dude in the back wearing his jersey if no one else was going to hop up. It was going to be all him. Yeah, you got pointed at, dude. Yep, it's all you, big fella. Get up here, bro. What numbers he got? Number 84. We got a tight end. Probably plays defensive end too.
Your turn. Am I good? Am I good? Okay.
Yeah. What's your name, partner?
My name's Mason.
Mason?
Yes.
Cool. It's cool to meet you, Mason. All right, Mason. So clearly it's Friday. You guys got a football game tonight. It's happening. It's going down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, go.
Making the playoffs.
please don't call me sir. That's like, oh my God, that's so scary. It's so scary for me to be a sir. You know what I'm saying? Like if you saw me on the street, you'd be like, what's up, dude? Sir's weird. All right, Mason. So you're on the football team. You guys are doing your things. We're talking a lot about leadership. I guess my challenge for you is what's been one of the hardest parts for you are you a captain or a senior? Or are you kind of,
I'm only
I don't know.
I'm a freshman. I'm only a freshman.
6'2". You're a large freshman is what you are. So,
No,
but this is cool. I'm not letting you off the hook just because you're a freshman. You're tall enough to be a senior.
no,
So
I play varsity, so
cool.
Oh,
So yeah, flexing hard on the squad is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mason, here's what
That
here's
boy
what I
ain't
want
got muscles. I'm just gonna call him out. He ain't got muscles. I know Mason personally.
He'll get there. You'll get in it. You got time. You still got time. You'll get there. So Mason, here's my question for you is what do you think? You know, you guys are now as a football team and as a school, you guys are listening to leaders a lot more in ways of like, wear your mask. We can't do this. You've got to stay, there's a lot more direction coming top down. And I feel like because everybody's got masks on, it's hard to see people's facial expressions and nobody knows if you're smiling or crying or sad or whatever. It's kind of some of the emotion of leadership is gone. But when you're with your boys, when you're with your football team, life goes back to normal. Things kind of go back to like the way that they were. And so Mason, my question for you is, what do you think people need the most right now from student leaders? Like, what do your classmates need the most from students? Not the adults, not the teachers, not the coaches, not the sirs of the world. But what do you need from like the student leaders? Because I think it's a really important question for you guys to hear each other talk about.
Well, I think we've been lucky overall. We've not lost a lot. We've not had a game canceled. We've not had the football team all get quarantined. We've been really lucky. So I feel like what Aiden said before, that normality of it really has helped us stay how we are. And we've been really lucky with not being quarantined all or going online and just keeping this norm and wearing the mask and all the stuff that the school has done for us. That is fine. And I just feel like keeping these events going, keeping things as normal as possible, and just having like a band concert or a volleyball game, and you can have it indoors with your family and stuff. That's what the kids need, because I feel like if they don't have those people in there, they just don't feel right at home.
Totally. So that's your reality there for sure. But it looks like 45 or however many miles down the road, it's a little bit different reality just based on some of these guys. I'm looking at bedrooms and libraries, and you know what I mean? So it's not the same for everybody. So I never let anybody off the hook. I'm moderating a debate on Sunday because I never let anybody off the hook, and I'm not letting you off here either, Mason. And so we'll go back to it. What do you think kid to kid, because the game's not getting canceled. That's kind of adults. You guys wearing masks directly, dictates that, or, we think, I guess, but like you wearing masks and everybody playing by the rules is what's trying to keep normality there. And if we don't abide by the rules, and it seems like things spike and all that, I get that. But kid to kid, student to student, no adults included in it, no adults deciding in it. Culture, school culture, you guys all know this. The kids create the culture. You all decide what's happening at the school. Adults react to it in a lot of ways, but kids create it. And so culturally, Mason, what do you think, your school, other schools, people who are quarantined, what can they do to continue to lead right now, even during this time? Like, I'd love for you to talk about like what kids can do to keep making a difference. Like adults are all right, but kids is where the real magic is.
Well, being still participating in school activities and events and clubs, keeping the school thriving and being able to just be active in the classroom is what's the most needed right now.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's probably been the most of it, because we've not had anything. We've still been able to do all the clubs and activities that we would have been if we wouldn't be dealing with this right now.
Totally, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely cool. So I got put into a challenge the other day that was really kind of eye-opening for me. But it was the person was like, text for a week, just wake up every morning. First thing you do is text 3 people that you're grateful for and start your day that way. And I think when adults do it, and especially when I do it, like people kind of expect stuff like that. But a lot of kids took that challenge was the group that we were with. And it was so interesting to see how many kids texting adults that they were grateful for their energy during this time, and that they were grateful for the work that they had done in their schools during this time, how much that meant for the adults and how much that meant for the teachers. And so I guess I tossed this out there for you. And I know your school's fortunate to not have to be in like the social distance land like a lot of us are, and having to do this 3-2 remote learning thing like a lot of us are. But I think my challenge for you student leaders, and Mason, what I want to get to is, I think the little things that you do as a student carry so much more weight than you can ever realize. It's the little thank yous. It's the little ways you help people. Like, you remember the kid I talked about from my school that was, you know, he was in the special needs class and he was a freshman and I was a senior. It was never the big things. It wasn't. It was never like when I took him to home, you know, home. He was like my homecoming date or whatever, because like I didn't want to go with anybody else and I wanted him to have a good experience at homecoming, and I wasn't going to come back for his senior year, you know? And so like, it wasn't that though. Like that didn't, like, I thought that would be like the sickest thing ever. And like, he didn't really care. What he cared about was that I played Yu-Gi-Oh with him after school, or that we played, you know, all the cartoons that he wanted to watch, or every time he wanted to watch Air Bud or Like Mike or whatever the movies that he got stoked on, I would always watch these movies with him because he cared about it. And so Mason, I see you as a freshman with the height and the football jersey on, and I know that your school's got these opportunities, and I know that they're a leadership class, but I would say my challenge for all of you student leaders or leaders with potential as you're on this call is, who are those moments? Like, not only what are those moments, you know, Aiden, I told you to think about like, what are your moments, you know? I want you to think about who are those moments, because Mason, if you didn't lose the school activities in the same ways that a lot of other people did, that means that there are still those kids in your school who feel like they don't fit and still feel like maybe they don't have a voice, or maybe feel like they're not included. And especially with like some of the events and the social life getting cut away, that means that their opportunities got cut away even more. And so for your school specifically, who's maybe not experiencing some of those challenges of social distancing, it doesn't mean that mentally some of the students in your school aren't in a rough place. And now we can't see it because everybody's got a mask on. And so we all used to wear masks. That was what Instagram and Twitter and TikTok were, but now you are all actually wearing a mask. And so it's interesting, but I would say, Mason, maybe focus efforts and energies towards the kids in your school who aren't on the football team, and the kids who don't fit, and the kids who don't have some of those experiences, because I think now more than ever, the mental and social emotional space of some of those kids is at its lowest point, because it's a really isolating time. And so I'm stoked for you, and I appreciate you answering my questions. Good luck tonight, dude. Like, big time good luck tonight. So I hope you guys do well. When I was talking about giving out socks and giving away socks to the homeless, did that spring any ideas into anybody's minds of like things that you want to do, or things that you could take on, or ideas that you have specifically for your town? And I would love to hear just some ideas maybe you have of like ways you can make a difference, or things that you want to do in your communities.
A lot of years we do like a canned food drive and that kind of stuff, and give it to our local food bank, and that so that families who need that stuff can get that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Is that something you guys have started this year, or you're doing right now?
No, not currently, but usually we do it. And then we also do the Christmas thing sometimes, where we'll get gifts and wrap them and give them to needy families.
I love that. And your name's Arcadia, right?
Yeah.
All right. So here's a real thing, Arcadia, and I say this all the time. There is nothing in this world more intimidating than an army of girls walking into your office asking you to give them something or donate something, or like, you know who raises the most money? You know who raises more than anybody? Girl Scouts. You know why? You're not saying no. Every time they roll in, I'm just like, all of them, every box, just do it. Like, empty your trunk. Like, that's what I want. And so Arcadia, I would say like learn from that OG Girl Scouts thing. And like, if you guys want to do a food drive and that's something you used to do, like, Christmas isn't that many days away. Christmas is like, 90 days or some crazy number. It's probably under 100 days from Christmas, I bet.
It's great.
It's awesome. I do too. But so what I would say is, how can you use your time between now and then to make sure that other people love this Christmas? This Christmas is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one for kids that don't get toys because families lost their jobs and lost their income. It's going to be a tough one for people who need food and people who didn't, like, this Christmas is going to be a lot different from the ones that you've all experienced in your past. And so maybe, Arcadia, for you, that food drive and that pantry is something that you can try to restock before winter, and like, get a group of your, your friends together, whatever club you're in or whatever squad you have, like, roll around your towns and try to do what you can to do a canned food drive. But I think that's really awesome, but don't let that one slip. Do not let your canned food drive in your community slip. And nothing is more successful and efficient and intimidating than high school girls walking in trying to raise money. And I'm not kidding. Like, if all of you girls on this just squatted up and you were like rolled into your principal's office or some business, it's not a matter of can you give. You just got to roll in and be like, how much are you giving and what they can give back? Because they totally will. And so don't underestimate how much everyone wants to invest in youth with an idea. And so, Arcadia, if you care about canned food, like, seriously go get it. Like this weekend, come up with a plan, and next week start chipping away at it, you know, and who knows how many people you might help feed this winter, which is awesome and necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That one's a good one. What else are you guys working on? Whether it's the other school or you guys?
So at my old school, at my old school, there was this thing my sister came up with where she, for like kids that parents can't like afford coats for winter and can't afford stuff for that, we gathered up donations and like gave the teachers a big thing of gloves and coats and stuff. And when they needed those, when they don't have anything, we just gave them to them. And my sister, I gave her all the credit for that. She came up with
That's
that.
very cool. That's very cool. Is that something that happens annually, or was that like a one and done?
She did it the last 2 years before she graduated, and
then it was Sydney's turn to carry the torch for her sister and keep it going. Sounds like a plan. So is that are you trying to keep that rolling, Sid, or is that like something else you wanna pass that off to a group of people?
well, after I left my old school, a lot of them kept doing it, and then I think they do it every year now.
What about your new school?
I haven't done anything yet like that. I've had some ideas.
Cool. I always say I'm not trying to pick or dig. I know it's like, and being new, like I totally get the being new vibes and like coming into a small town from where you're from, like I fully get all of that. But I say this a lot, and this is really where leadership gets separated. And so if you're going to write anything down today, think about this too. I say this a lot. There are three types of people in the world: people who wish, people who talk, and people who do. There are people who wish that they could make a difference, wish they could have their dream job, wish all day long, and they follow a lot of people and they just look at them online. There are people who talk a mad game. Like, I'm about to do this, and when I get out, I'm about to do that. I'm going to drive this car. I'm going to get these mud flaps on it. Like, I hear weak kids talking about what they wish they could do all day long. But then there are those kids who actually go out and do the thing. Like, they put a plan together. They don't wait for their mom or dad or their youth pastor or their coach. Like, they put a plan together and they go do the thing. And so I would say, like, you have a good idea and you know it works and you know it gets cold in southern Kansas and you know people are going to need winter coats. And so maybe like the hard yards of coming up with an idea are done, and you just need to like organize a group of kids to get it together and get it moving out the door. But a coat drive, we have a coat drive going on here as well. That's obviously a part of what we're doing, but it's really important. There are a lot of people who are really going to be outside this winter. This winter is going to be, the estimates of how many people are going to be experiencing cold and experiencing homelessness is the highest that it's been in a long time. And that's maybe not a reality in a smaller town like yours, but it doesn't mean that up in KCK or KCMO, there aren't going to be a lot of people on the streets experiencing homelessness. One of our biggest Skate for Change chapters is Kansas City because of how many people are on the streets. And so if you're looking for a place to dump coats or looking for a place to give them, a couple hours north of you guys is a really tough city with people who are going to be experiencing homelessness this year. And there's so many youth shelters and teen shelters that you could partner with. And so I say all that, Sid, telling you just because you're new doesn't mean you can't do something awesome. Just because it's a new idea doesn't mean that people won't support it. So don't let that coat drive slip. It's just as important as Arcadia's canned food drive. It's the same kind of thing. And so it's a cool idea. And I love that your sister did that. And I think you should definitely follow in some footsteps if you feel like you're up for it. I think that's cool. Okay, so what I guess my question for you is, what are we going to do with this school year to make an impact? Like, your leaders, they brought you here, they brought me in, like they wanted some tactical, real things. And we could sit here and talk meta buzzwords all day long, but as young people who have a semester, chunk of a semester and then one semester left of this year, what do you guys want to do to make an impact? Like, what do you guys want to do to make a difference this year?
We say that we're going to win the sock thing. That's what we're going to do.
That's coming. All right, I hear that. Do you guys have a goal for socks? Is there like a goal set out? Or is it just get the W? Is that the goal?
We prefer to keep it quiet so Fredonia can't have any ideas of how many they need to beat.
I get it. I tried, Fredonia. I was trying to help you out. No, here's a cool way for everyone to think about it. I just want socks to get raised. I don't care where they come from. Here's a really cool way to think about how to raise socks. One of the most successful things that we have done is if your towns are playing each other, or if there's a band concert happening or a fall event happening, is sometimes make admission a pack of socks. Like if, it's like it's $10 to come to the fall play, or it's $5 to get into the football game, or it's a pack of socks, you know what I mean? And so that's been a way that we've been able to raise a lot of our socks for Socktober, is exactly what you guys are doing, is getting schools at their football game to be like, the battle is which side can raise more socks. One time I went on at the 50-yard line of a thing, and both stands just chucked socks on the field in different colors. It was like, you guys got white socks, you guys got black socks. It was like their battle. And then we had to go like sweep up and get all the socks, but we raised like 7,000 pairs of socks from one football game. And these weren't big towns. Like these were both towns of like 2,000 or 3,000 people. Like it wasn't a huge thing, but it was a huge rivalry. And so, yeah, use your sporting events as a way or a means to raise socks. Like that's always been a good thing for us. I don't know how to say this any other way, but Elliot keeps sucking his mask in his mouth, and it's like the funniest thing that I've seen in a while. You know how like you can kind of suck your mask in? I just watched Elliot keep sucking his in, and it's been cracking me up. I really like the winning the socks challenge. What about smaller moments, y'all? Like what about like one-to-one, like one person to one person moments? Because that's, the big things are great, big events are great, big moments are great. I know that those get a lot of hype, but I think the real impact is one leader to one person at a time. And so maybe talk to me about some of the smaller moments you guys want to try to create, or maybe heard me talk and thought, oh, I could do this, or someone at my school is like that. Like, does anybody have any ideas?
One thing that our school just started like yesterday was we started like a big brother and a big sister program through our leadership class. So like the seniors have a freshman, juniors have an 8th grader, and the sophomores have a 7th grader. So we can like build those relationships and make our school like even more like connected, even though half of us aren't there most of the time.
That's very cool. So how does that process work? Like you get like a little buddy, and then what? You like, you know what I mean? Like what are you going to do? Like how are you going to make an impact? Where's the leadership part happen? Like it's really cool. It's an awesome idea. Maybe go a little bit deeper on what that looks like.
Well, our plan is to have like in your family time, and we'll have like different competitions, and you'll be paired like with your buddy to like do different things like our pep rallies. And then they also like are encouraging you to like go to Try Me with them, which is like one of our like little restaurant things, or like just spend time with them and check and see like how they're doing, or if they're like stressed, or like 7th graders that might like still like not know like how to log on to Zoom right. And so like just trying to help them and build those connections.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And Shelby, how old are you? What grade are you in?
I'm a sophomore.
You're a sophomore. We all remember what it was like when you were like a 7th grader or an 8th grader, either like playing football at the end of the end zone, watching the high school kids play, or like looking up to high school kids being like, they're huge. And technically number 84, Mason, is actually huge. But like we all remember being a kid being like, oh, they're so big. And then all of a sudden you're like the big kid, and you turn around and you're like, we're not that big. Like we're not as big as we thought we were, you know what I mean? But like you're older, and now I think it shows how much influence you actually have. You remember how much you like used to look up to those kids and used to think they were so cool. And like, once you become those kids, it shows how much influence you have. And so that's why I'm so big on being really specific about leadership. I think what happens when we have leadership classes and leadership clubs, or we talk about things from FFA to FBLA to FCLA to DECA to all that stuff, sometimes you talk about leadership and impact and change really big. Like we're going to do a big Coke drive. We're going to do a big canned food drive. We're going to do a big sock drive. And like, we talk about the big stuff, but what you're talking about isn't the big stuff. That's the one-to-one little stuff, like helping someone log into Zoom. And it's like in those moments, I truly think the most leadership and the most impact happens, because it's more genuine, and it's felt more one-to-one, instead of just like, I was a part of this big thing. And so I would say, here's some advice, Shelby. And I learned this from I got this really cool chance once when I worked at this camp to get to sit through a training, and it stuck with me my entire life. And so I'll give you this free sort of piece of advice that I got from them as well. And so, you know, when you're working with those kids and you're trying to like compliment them and talk to them and like help them, I got explained that there are 3 levels to a compliment. And so the way that we talk to our staff down here about leadership, so if you're working with a kid or you're working with an outside partner and you want to compliment somebody, you want to, you know, validate the work that they did, there's sort of 3 levels to it. And the levels would look something like, oh, that outfit you have on is dope. Like, you look really cool, or I like those shoes, or like the way you dress is awesome, like, or whatever, like your car is cool. Like that's a level 1 compliment, and it's basically like touching on something superficial, touching on the external. A level 2 compliment, using that same example, would be like, I really like that outfit you put together. Like it really looks cool, and your character really shines, and it kind of just shows your personality. Like you look great today. That's awesome. Like that compliment hits different, right? Like it feels different because you're like, you talked about like me as a person. A level 3 compliment would look something like, the intentionality and the intimacy that you put together in outfits show that you really care about this and you're passionate. I think that passion is going to be, or is, one of your strongest suits, and it makes a difference, and it shows who you are, and you really dive deep into their character. And so I tell you this because if you're going to mentor somebody, one of the most important things that you can do is learn how to transition out of level 1 compliments into level 2 compliments. And so sometimes we compliment the external because it's easy. Dope shoes, awesome hoodie. I like the Broncos too. That's my favorite trap rapper. I like that YouTube channel. Like that stuff. That's all like level 1. Good game. You played great. Like that's all level 1. Level 2 compliments are where you kind of compliment someone's character or someone's intentions or someone's heart. And so what I would say is you're mentoring these kids and you're thinking about your interactions with them, because we all know what it feels like too. Like you're mentoring someone and then it's weird because you're like, I don't know what to say to this person and they don't like me and they're not my friend and I'm being forced to like talk to them and I have this sheet of paper to like, it's always like it can be like a weird vibe. And so what I would say is like, think about the levels of compliments and the way that you compliment someone or the way that you articulate it, because there's a huge difference between being like cool outfit or good job versus like really complimenting their character or their intention. Does that make sense? Any nods out there? All right, cool. I got a few nods. Some of you are just blankly staring. I get it. And so, but I would just say like really, really like think about the way that you articulate a compliment to someone, especially if you're in a mentorship role, because those words have so much power. Imagine if you were an 8th grader and a high schooler gave you a really cool compliment. Like that would stick for a long time. People would remember that for a long time. You know it's true because how many of you remember something someone older than you said that was negative? Anybody remember somebody making fun of you, picking on you, saying something hurtful, called out some physical flaw of yours that you didn't like, went after you online? Like there are a lot of people who know what it feels like to have something negative said about them, and we remember it for a really, really long time. The same is true with positivity. Something really positive said about you, like you can remember that for a really long time as well. And so that's really tight that you're getting to do that mentorship role, Shelby. That's really, really rad. Good for you. I'm sure you're going to do great. I'm sure you'll do well.
Hey, Mike.
Does anybody? Yep, go ahead.
In real quick, our students at Fredonia are going to need to hit lunch here in the next couple minutes. But what I want to do is maybe leave this open if you're okay with it, Mr. Houghton, if we can leave it running so that Neota Shea can maybe get a little more time with you since they missed out on the first part. Maybe you can speak to them more specifically. Really got to really talk them up on the sock challenge because I hate to see them hurt. And that's where it's going to be at. So I have no problem talking to Neota Shea. My daughter actually attends school there. So I'll trash talk them all day long.
Your family too. You're in there. You're in the cut with it. So, Neota Shea, do you guys have any questions for me specifically? If not, I'll just start asking you all questions.
Hey, real quick, just Fredonia students, go ahead and start logging off. Head to your second hour so that you guys can get ready for lunch.
Thank you, Mike.
I love you.
Thank you, Mike.
Fredonia, go be awesome. I hope you can come to Lincoln someday.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye, fam. Cool. Eli's like, I don't know how to log out, so I'm just going to disappear. Or maybe he's from that school. All right, other squad, you guys you're completely on the hook now, so you might as well just take yourselves off mute altogether since you're all in there. What specific things this year are you guys trying to implement? Are you guys a student leadership class, or who is your class specifically in there?
We have a lot of students that Mr. West just handpicked selected as a lot of leaders throughout our school. Like right now, I'm the student council president, and we have the junior high FCCLA president in here, and we have other people on multiple other boards throughout the leadership roles in our school.
Right on. So wildly represented by, and that's awesome. And so I guess first, do you guys have any questions for me, or is there any like things that you're trying to pull off this year that maybe you need help with or want? Oh, there we go. There's so many more humans. It's always awkward for like the chick in the front who's like the most present, because it's like you're just like stuck. But yeah, that's you. That's you. Yeah, it's just part of the gig. And so at least you got a mask on. You can react however you want. But do you guys have any questions for me specifically? Is there anything that I can answer? I don't know if like maybe I didn't get to it.
Well, first of all, I want to say good morning and thank you. Are we ready? All right. Well, first of all, I want to say
You sound good.
good morning and thank you for sharing that story with us this morning. It was really touching and you gave us a lot of good just skills that we can apply to our everyday life. But my question is what are some ideas that we can integrate into our school that can help with our peers that may be depressed or have anxiety or overly stressed? What are some ideas that we can integrate into our school?
How many kids go to your school?
300.
So you got graduating classes of like 60 to 80 kind of vibes. Is that?
It's like
40 to 60, yeah.
40 to 60. Cool. Mine was 42. So like, I fully get it. I was number 8. I was like the bottom 20. My dad was bummed. Anyway, 42 is what we had. But I say this based on 2 things. That's why I want to know the size of it. I would say there's 2. I'm going to give you 2 ideas. My first one is if you've got 50 kids in your school and that group right there, 300 kids in your school, if that group right there, this is simple math. I don't know if any of you are in AP math, and if you are, why, but some of you are probably good at math in there. But like for all you mathers in there, do this math for me. Somebody figure this out. If everybody in that room texts 3 people in the morning, 3 different people in the morning, and you did that for a week straight, I'm only saying 5 days. So that's 3 texts from each of you. So that's 15 texts a week. So I would just take the 15 times how many of you are in there. How many of you are in there?
13. We have 13.
So it's 13 times 15.
13 times 5. Oh no, it's 39 times 5. We gotta get the calculators out.
I get it. Hey, somebody's taking off their shoes to use their fingers and toes.
That'd be 195 texts.
So that would be literally like I want you to think about this. Think about that. Keep that calculator out for me because we'll need it again. There you go. What's your name in the front row, kiddo?
Emily.
Emily. Awesome. You're gonna be my calculator, Emily. All right. So here's what I want you to think about. You said 190 people. So if the 13 of you, truly that 190 might be numbers on a calculator, but that 190 is actually the names of your classmates. So if you in that group all started off in the morning, literally 1 week, if all of you woke up and text 3 kids from your school, some sort of a gratitude text. And I would start with the kids who need it. Like, you have kids in your school. Maybe you don't have their cell phone numbers. Maybe you got to DM them on Instagram. Maybe you got to go find their school email. But if you're a student leader in here, I would say start with the kids who need it the most. Oftentimes as student leaders, we start with our peer groups and our friends and our clubs and our sports teams and our religious affiliations on Wednesday nights or Sunday mornings. Like, we start where we are. Just listen to my senior year conversation. I spent time with a kid who liked Yu-Gi-Oh, who couldn't play sports, who grew up in the special needs class his entire life. And I was the first person to bust him out of there to go experience other things. He had never driven up and down. He'd never cruised Maine. He'd never been camping. I asked him one of the things that he wanted to do first when he moved to Lincoln. And he was like, I want to go to Burger King, because he'd never been to a Burger King. And I was just shocked at all the things he hadn't been able to experience because of his life circumstances. And so what I would say for you is think about the specific individual kids in your school who are struggling right now, and not just like what text can you send them, but what experience can you give them? So great example. I would take him to every away volleyball game or girls sporting event that I possibly could. And I would give him one of my shirts to rock and wear so he would be a part of the squad. So if you've got a football game and kids who have never been before, your job isn't just to invite them to show up. Your job is to have a relationship with them so that they will want to show up. And so what I would say is like, sorry, it's going to get really loud. I think some kids are going to put skateboards together. So what I would say is think about like, what are some of the things and experiences that you can offer some of these kids, and be more intentional about experiences. And so there's 190 texts you guys could send in one week if you actually decided to do that. What am I doing? I'm losing my mind. Oh, I know what I'm doing. You could send text to everybody if you wanted to. That's like an easy, it doesn't cost any money. Nobody has to organize that. No teacher has to own that. Start your day with just texting people and try it for 1 week. You would literally hit half the school. That's my first idea that doesn't cost any money or any time. I'm going to give you my second idea, which is super tight, and it's one of my favorite ideas, which is, so I know what it's like to grow up in a town with no stoplight, no paved roads. Like, I totally get the vibes that you guys have in a small little town with a graduating class that small. So here's what I did my senior year. I wasn't going to take that kid to like go park in some go out in some cornfield and drink. He wasn't going to show up in some Quonset and party with us. That wasn't going to be his senior year. And I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Big giant nods if you understand what I'm talking about. Small town kids driving around in cornfields, like dodging police. You get it, right? You all get it. Okay. So because that reality exists in small towns, I was not about to do that. And as a leader, that wasn't the way to do it. So what I did my senior year is I made a list of 100 things I wanted to do my senior year before I graduated high school. And this list of things was insane, you guys. It was insane. It wasn't little stuff. I tried to break the Guinness Book of World Record for longest flight in a bathtub. We took a bathtub from the dump, went to the lake. I took an old ramp that I had and I literally bolted, like nailed the ramp to the boat dock. We tied the bathtub to my homie's boat with a tube rope. Like, you know how you go tubing? We literally took a tubing rope, attached it to this bathtub. Homie floors the bathtub. I'm sitting in this bathtub with my football helmet and board shorts on. And when I launched off of this boat dock, I hit the water so hard. Water's supposed to be soft. I hit so hard when I landed, I kneed myself in the chin. You ever done that? You ever like kneed yourself in the chin? I kneed myself in the chin so hard, like knocked myself out. I don't even really know how to swim. My friends had to like jump in and come save me. It was really crazy. I still can't grow hair on my beard because I literally split my chin open so wide. When my friends and I get back together, you think we ever talk about the cornfield nights? You think we ever talk about the Quonsets? You think we ever talk about sitting in our friends' basements watching movies, like looking at our phones or just gaming? Never. Not one time have I gotten back with my homies and been like, remember that one time we watched movies all weekend? No, 0 times. What we talk about is that list of 100 things that we did. But the reason that list was so important was we included everybody. Special needs kids were a part of that list. The kids in our community who were new Americans whose English was not their first language, like we included them in that list. We did everything. We came up with this thing called, you'll love this. We came up with an event called the Redneck Games. And it was like bobbing for pickled pig's feet. It was like, can you guess the weight of the hog? It was like blind wheelbarrow races where you had to do the like bat spin and then you were blindfolded while your friend sat in the wheelbarrow and you had to do this obstacle course. It was the most like redneck honky tonk Western Nebraska crap you can think of. And we just came up with it. Like we literally called it the Redneck Games and everybody got involved and it was super hilarious. It's probably not PC enough for now. You'd have to come up with something way different, but back then that's what we did. But we made this list of 100 things that we wanted to do. My wife and I are coming up on our 10 years of marriage, and we just made another bucket list of all the things that we want to do and all the experiences that we want to have. And so what I would say to all of you is if you really want to make a difference in your small town, it's not going to happen if you do the same thing the seniors did before you last year. Like that's not where it comes from. It comes from coming up with new ideas. So I would say make a bucket list of things that you can do and include the kids who would never normally get included. Come up with ideas. Come up with a gaming event. We built a drive-in movie theater. We literally had this dude give us access to his barn. And then I borrowed a projector from the church that I never gave back. And I created my own drive-in movie theater. And we would charge people money to come watch movies. I would do like a double feature. Like one Saturday, we did like a Kevin Bacon Saturday and played like 8 hours straight of Kevin Bacon. We would just charge people money. I made so much cash off of this movie theater. I paid cash for the car that I bought when I went to college the next year. I literally dropped a stack of hundreds on the dude at the dealership and he was like, you're a drug dealer, I know it. And I was like, money's money, like give me the keys. Like I got my car, get out of here. But I did it because we did so much stuff. I tried to break the Guinness Book of World Records for longest grape thrown and caught in mouth. And we went to the football field on a windy day and this dude with a really good arm was like throwing grapes at me as far as he could. And I was like taking them to the face and all that. It was just like stupid stuff, but we'll never forget it. And it cost us some grapes and some time and some bruised faces or whatever. But I tell you that to say that like living in a small town, which means people look at that and think we can't do anything. But I actually think it's the other way. You can get away with way more in a small town because the community knows you. Like they know you, they see you. Like people typically tend to love the youth in a small town. Plus it's like, if your intentions are pure and your heart is good and the things that you're doing, the people in your town aren't going to cry against it. They're probably going to add fuel to it, especially now. And so I would say, come up with a list, a cultural list of experiences that you guys want to do. If 100's too many, make it 50. If 50's too many, make it 25. But what I would say is challenge yourself to give kids in your schools experiences that they're not going to get, because that's what people need. People need moments. They need experiences. They need to break up the monotony of looking at a screen and going home and feeling isolated and not having anyone to talk to, and then scrolling through Instagram till it says you're all caught up. Or going on Snapchat to only realize that everybody's Snap score has gone up but yours because no one's talking to you, like whatever. Like, we need to break up the monotony of the boringness of this. And that's only going to come with creativity. What the world needs right now is creativity more than anything. And so I would say get creative, be really empathetic, be mad inclusive, but come up with a list. That's where I would start. I would come up with a list. And then if you did that gratitude text thing in literally 2 weeks, based on the calculator, in 2 weeks, that group right there, you 13, could personally text or email almost your entire school. If you started on Monday of next week, went for 5 days, and then that next Monday you went for another 5 days, you'd hit nearly 400 people with text messages. That's almost your entire student and staff population right there. Does that even seem hard? Does texting 3 people in the morning, something that you're grateful for, even seem complicated? It's not. It's seriously not. But it just takes a little bit of intimacy. How many of you wake up every morning with a rando text message from somebody that about you, about how much they appreciate you? Does that like just randomly happen to most of us? No, like most of us go and look at our phones to make sure a train wreck didn't happen behind our backs on the internet the night before, and then we start our day. And that's kind of how it goes for people. And so I would say, like, wake up, use gratitude as your means. Starting your day off with gratitude is going to definitely change the culture in your school. So I know that was like a mad, long-winded answer on how to impact the kids in your school and like some of the, like how to make a difference. But like, I seriously think I'd make a list of experiences you want your whole school or pockets to be able to experience. And then I would start with a gratitude text.
Hey, Mike.
Yo.
I'm gonna step out. I need to go help serve our lunches, but Neotashe, they're slotted till 11:45. You guys go as long as you feel you need to. And Mr. West is in the back there standing up. He's the principal. He'll kind of take over on this. Once you're done, just log out. But again, and I know I speak for Neotashe too on this. Thank you very much for the day. For your message. I think it's been very, very good for our student bodies to hear this. I think it works well because we are towns of 3,000 people each, so
yeah.
We understand redneck games really well. So, but Neotashe, I know I jostle with you. I know I give you crap about we're going to beat you in a sock thing, but I'm glad you got in and you guys are having an excellent discussion. I hope it continues for a few more minutes.
Awesome, brother. Thank you, man. Thanks for setting this up. What other questions do you guys have for me?
Mr. West, do you have any questions?
How do you get all the phone numbers of the kids in your school?
I don't know. I just feel something about it. You got a question?
Yeah. How do you get in touch with everybody in your school?
I think that your principal could probably solve that pretty quickly. Like if there was a very discreet, and he's right there, there you go. And so he is definitely the person. And honestly, think about this. How cool would it feel to get something in the mail that was just a thank you? Like if you're not sure if you can text everybody, like put your penmanship skills to work, like make some cool cards, craft. I don't care. Like figure out what people are into and compliment them. Like, you could go through the mail, and your principal can absolutely help you go through the mail if you got to go old and slow with it that way. You could hand deliver probably a huge chunk of these too if your town's that tiny. And so not having everyone's cell phone number isn't the end of the world. It is a barrier, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world. Cool? Because not every kid's going to have a cell phone too. You know what I mean? Like not every kid will probably have one of those. And so that can make it difficult also. What else?
David? Hey, can you talk to these guys, and you've already kind of hit through some of this, but just like what leadership is, like kind of your view of it and how they can be for our student body?
Yeah. People, this is what I've realized, especially during the pandemic, is that my role as a leader is not to always be upfront. And I think even just, and your principal probably can attest to this, a lot of times you have like student council president and the leader of this and the person of that, and they're always up front or they're in charge or they got voted in and they're like, have a very public facing leadership role. And I also have especially in Lincoln, a massively public facing leadership role. But that's not what leadership is. Leadership is about making everybody around you better. It's about finding the people around you that have skills and talents and putting them in a position to be really, really successful. And so I say that, do you guys just want to see leadership? Can I just show you leadership in action real quick? Is that like doable? Is that cool? You guys want to, I'm going to walk you through this space. This might take me a second. I'll give you an example. I love helping people and I love the special needs community. I'm not a pro skateboarder, not even close, but I have a full-time skateboarder on staff who is like one of the best, period. And when you realize what he cares about, what he cares the most about is that specific community. And so he's working super hard to do a couple things. One, he's coming up with 1 million skateboards that we can literally give to kids all across the state. And my job is to help him, right? It's not to be public. It's not to do anything. It's just to truly come alongside and help him. Here's our, here's coffee shop vibes. Hold on, I gotta go get my mask on. I realized I just forgot my mask. But anyway, so this is the, let me grab my mask. This is our coffee shop. I'm gonna take you up to the skate park. I'm gonna show you what it looks like real quick. Give me 1 second, I apologize. But I wanna answer his question on leadership. And I think sometimes it's easier just to show than to tell. AirPod down. I look crazy anyway. When I throw a mask and a beanie on, I look like a lunatic. Like, I don't know why anybody would let me near children looking like this, but sometimes they do. All right. Anyway, so here's the coffee shop. How's it going? Good. You guys having a good day? Or we're just eating lunch? Cool. Behind me, back here, can you guys still hear me all right?
Yeah. You guys can hear okay? Cool. I'm gonna disconnect my Bluetooth because that's kind of what's messing me up. So this is the skate park, and here is our venue. And what we've got going on here is we've just got classrooms that are happening up here, and these guys are eating lunch, hanging out. Hi guys. And so the coolest part about what I just showed you, I didn't realize they were going to be out of the classroom eating right now, but that is a group of people who are all special needs adults. So that whole classroom is 18 to 22. They're all special needs adults. And my skateboard instructor who works with them is this homie. Oh my gosh, hello. Matt, will you come talk to these guys? I could tell you about leadership, but I just want to show you one of the greatest of the greats. Gutty, come over here quick. So Matthew, with the specific question they asked was like, tell the kids about leadership, talk about leadership. And what I was about to say was the best leaders create space for other people. We're quarantined. We don't have to do masks. You and I are basically like, oh yeah, we've been hanging out together. But anyway, I have a face. Matthew has a passion for people. And when I think about leadership, I think about how do you use your skills? How do you use what you are good at, what you are wired to do, what you are gifted with to impact other people? And Matthew is a perfect example of this. And so I tell them this October story that you were telling me about, like what they're doing up there and how it's going on, what's happening. And we got a huge box of socks that were given to me boxes. 15,000 pairs of socks. So we got 15,000 pairs of socks in our skate park. And I got this like, hey, what are we going to do with it? And as a leader, you're like, okay, I could make a plan and be like, we're going to do this and blah, 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 and Matthew, I need you to do blah, 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 and this is what we're going to do with these socks. Absolutely not. Have I ever acted? No, that's just not the way that I would do it. The way that I do it is like, all right, bro, like, what do you got? Like, what are we going to do? Like, what's our ideas? Like, you tell me, because that's what leadership is. Leadership is getting out of the way, letting the people who are incredible at what they do, more talented than you, do the thing. And so explain to them like the Socktober challenge with the Independence Academy kids and kind of like what it is, and just like let them hear about the moments, like that specific significant moments, you know?
Yeah, definitely. First off, I'll talk a little bit about the Independence Academy as a small cohort of students that have a special needs, ranging from 18 to 22 years old. They're kind of transitioning out of high school and working towards, the real world, being able to be independent, get jobs, and be sustainable in their, daily activities and in their lives. So it's pretty incredible that I get to work with them on a daily basis, just for a small amount of time. Eventually, the goal with these students would be to do some sort of like recreational therapy on skateboards. Obviously, with COVID, we're not able to do anything hands-on. So during the hour that I have with them on a daily basis, we work in the skate park, cleaning, organizing projects. And obviously there's 15,000 pairs of socks that are sitting on a table in the skate park. And we had an idea of like, how can we pull these kids in to get them working towards getting these socks out of the skate park and into the hands of some agencies that are going to be able to kind of distribute those throughout Lincoln for individuals that are, homeless or, less fortunate. So these students worked for weeks on crafting a paragraph on how they were going to connect with these agencies that we called. So they kind of sat down, figured out what they wanted to say, typed it up, and they just kind of rehearsed it for weeks. When it was time to go, we had an entire list of about 24 agencies that we were going to call. And we just kind of went down the list. I pulled a few individuals into the office. We sat down and I kind of just coached them through of like, hey, this is what you guys are going to say. But when you're talking on the phone, the only thing that you have is your voice, is your personality. They can't see you smiling. So you just have to be able to come alive and kind of step out of, your comfort zone and really just try to make a connection with this person on the phone. They want these socks. They're excited to talk to you. So I was the one that kind of planted the seed and jumped on the phone at first and made that connection with whoever answered the phone. Once they kind of knew why we were calling and what the Independence Academy was, the students kind of took over. They were on speakerphone and they kind of just read through their paragraph, explained what we're doing, why we're calling, and how many socks that we were trying to give out. The agencies that answered were absolutely, we would love them. When can we pick them up? So it was really, really special pulling these kids and explaining to them how important it is for these socks to be getting out to them. And how, it's one of those things that we just kind of take for granted each and every single day. Putting on a brand new pair of socks is one of my favorite things in the world. So telling them this is going to be really, really great for these agencies getting these socks. It was a significant moment hearing on the other side of the phone, these people saying, hey, great job, Maddie, or great job, Caleb. So I'm biased. I think these are wonderful students, but these people on the phone that do not know them, giving them kind of a thumbs up was fantastic. And also the distribution side of it, having these agencies pulled up into the skate park parking lot and having the students, hand deliver these boxes of socks back to the people that they had made the connection, made that relationship with, So in 1 week between calling multiple agencies, we were able to get 6 boxes of socks out the door, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in retrospect, you're talking about 2,100 pairs of socks in 1 week with a special needs Independence Academy crew on behalf of our Lincoln Public School system here. So that was a huge win for me, and more importantly for these students to be able to work on these job skills. So that's pretty much the story that I have. It's awesome.
And I love it. And here's why that story is so special and this is when you asked what leadership was, I wanted to get to this one exact line. It would have been easier for us to just call the agencies. It would have been easier for me to just take the 15,000 socks and drop them off a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
Literally I could drop them off by myself, but leadership, and this is what I want young leaders to say, no, stay, you're good. All right. Because I want Kayleen to come in here too. I'm going to bring it. So Matthew's the director of skateboarding here. So his job all day, every day is skateboarding those kids. This is Kayleen. She is a DJ. She's our resident artist DJ, and her job is to work with young kids teaching beat making. And she's going to explain something about leadership as well. But this is what leadership breaks down to for me is sometimes, and Matthew just explained it, what is easier for us, the leader, is not always what's best for the person that you're trying to help. Almost always you have to go extra, above and beyond, sacrifice a little more, allow a little bit more grace, a little bit more time, a little bit more patience. It's not going to be done perfectly, but it's because it's giving space for someone else to learn. And that's what leadership's all about. And Matthew is doing that. He could have easily been on the phone and been like, I got these socks. No one sells better than him. This dude sells skateboards and skate shoes better than anybody in the world. He could have been like, yo, I got these socks. This is what we're doing. But he did it. He was like, I'm going to coach you. I'm going to help you. And when I was telling you guys earlier to think of that list of things that you could do, experiences you could have, that's the exact thing I'm talking about. It would be so much easier for a charismatic, well put together young person in your school who's got 2 parents at home and life has been decently privileged to just go do it because you can. But that's not leadership. Leadership is, no, I got to take people with me. Like I'm not rowing the boat on my own. I'm bringing people in. And so Matthew could easily distribute 15,000 pairs of socks, but some of the best moments you've had have been watching other people do it. And that's leadership. And I want to pivot that exact same thing to Kayleen. Playlist, the kid, the girl with the 20 songs. So like one of the things
you want the hot seat?
Yeah, hot seat. So
Hop in.
One of the things that we did is, so Kayleen DJ's on tour. She's like Kayleen Green, Cayleen Green on Instagram if you're trying to follow the queen. Kayleen is a professional DJ. She DJs on tour. She's traveled all over. She's DJ'd international. She's been on festivals where people like Trippie Redd and Lil Yachty and Black Bear and who was the Made in Tokyo. That was one I always forget about. Made so many rap. She shared the stage with these people, DJ'd their set or before their set to get the crowds hyped at festivals. She could literally be a festival DJ, but during the day, Kayleen is working with little kids in towns like yours trying to teach beat making classes. And so explain a little bit about like specifically the story of the kid with the playlist, how you had to like flip it around, go above and beyond, make it.
Yeah.
That one's really cool.
So basically the first, nice to talk to y'all, by the way. It's sad I can't see smiles, which maybe you're not smiling anyway. But one of the first challenges I had with the kids, so we're doing like a 10-week thing where I'm trying to teach kids to DJ. And the first challenge, I was like, let's just talk about music in general. Like, let's not get into DJing yet. Let's just talk about what music you like. So make a playlist about the music that you listen to, whether it's like has something to do with your feelings or just you only like this one song, you only like this one artist, like let's just make a playlist. And this one girl sent me back a video, and she's maybe like in 3rd grade or 4th grade or something. And she was like, these are all my songs, and this is from, most of them are from Descendants too, or most of them are from Kids Bop. And these are my favorite ones and whatever. And she just had them listed like on a piece of paper. And she was the only one that like actually listed out every single song and really did the challenge. And so I sat there and went on YouTube and made, her DJ name was DJ Adorable. She came up with that herself, not even kidding. And so I went on YouTube and just got all the songs and put them in a playlist and named it DJ Adorable. And I sent it back to her. And I was like, here's all your songs. Like you're the only one that did it. That was amazing. And I tried to, hopefully I picked the right ones, but yeah, that was really special to me. And then some other kid the other day was like, the songs that I'm picking are hip hop and rock because I have anger issues and I really want to get in touch with my feelings. It's like this little boy, and his DJ name was DJ Bandit. He's a little 4th grader, and that's all he cared about. And that was really special too, because you know, he just was like, oh, music. Like I'm sure he gets in trouble all the time, or like, I'm sure he has like something going on. And the fact that he felt okay to say that, even, I was like, that's awesome. Like hip hop and rock artists always talk about their feelings and they're angry a lot too. So like, that's perfect. Like you're right on the ball.
So I tell you this, and I bring these two in specifically when your principal asked, what is leadership? These two people right here are legitimately like in their space and in what they do. They're like superstars who could always be in front and could always be the face and could always be the highlight of what they're doing. But day in and day out, it's hours and hours spent looking for Kids Bop playlists to make somebody else a superstar. It's hours and hours spent trying to just get like the script for kids to give away socks on their own when he could have easily just given the socks away himself. But which one of those is going to make a bigger impact? Is it the DJ list that she makes on her own and the socks that he lets kids give? Of course it is. And so when you ask me a question about what leadership is, this is leadership. Leadership is people. It's people who choose other people first. It's people who just because it's easier for us doesn't mean it's better for the kids. We always go, what's the best thing for the kids? And we typically pick that every time. And that means it's almost often more difficult for us. And so I tell you that because she's using her passion for DJing. And leadership is all over that. He's using his passion for skateboarding, and there's leadership principles all over that. But more often than not, the thing that I love about these people and everyone down here is nobody's down here because they want to be in front. Nobody's down here because they want the recognition. Nobody's down here because they want to be the face of something. We're all down here because we genuinely want to use our skills to help people. And that's what leadership is about. Leadership is about taking what you're good at, even if it's a weird skill like DJing or skateboarding or whatever. Like we've taken our weird passions and we're doing everything we can to invest that in other people. And I think that's what leadership is. And so especially for you young leaders who maybe you don't have a job where you're in charge or a role on your sports team or in your clubs where you're like actually the leader, you just have a leadership influence. I would say it's all about putting other people first. And leaders get this. What's easiest for you isn't always what's best for who you're trying to help. And so sometimes you really got to think about it from their perspective first. And that's why I love these two. I mean, I feel like the three of us down here work with kids more than anybody else in our space. But the reason why is at every moment I can count on these two to go, what does the kid need? What's the best thing for them? And that's what they choose. Even if I've seen them both working way late, getting up super early, just going through, but it's for the kids. And so I know you guys got only a couple minutes before you got to run. Does anybody else have any questions for us? I'm glad I was able to pull you guys into this thing. I feel like they got to get sick of just hearing me talk.
We do. We get sick.
I get sick of listening to myself talk. But any other questions?
It's not looking like it.
Cool.
That's all right.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's cool. Thank you guys. I appreciate
Yes.
it. I know I pulled you both out of what you're doing. Thank you guys.
You guys are very lucky. You get to listen to him while in class.
Yeah. That's
Better class than at work.
Yes.
I love you guys. Yeah, thank you. Seriously, thank you for having me. But I'm so glad I got to pull them in. Not everybody gets to see and hear from just like our crew down here and how hard they work. But I'm telling you, leadership for us is we didn't want to make it about big things. We literally talk about moments. You heard Matthew literally speak about moments, and that is like you can plan it, you can point at it, you can go, that's the moment we're trying to create. So I love their intentionality down here for making a difference too. And so I feel like leadership is all about putting other people first. It's intentionality, and it's sometimes recognizing that what's best for the person you're trying to help isn't always going to be the easiest thing for you. And I'm sure the teachers recognize that day in and day out. But yeah, I don't have anything else if the squad's done with cues.
Is that it for you guys, Nathan?
I think so. Looks like it.
Very good. Hey, Neo Deshay, thank you again. That was some great conversation you guys had there. I hope you enjoyed your time with Mike. Let him know how much you appreciate him.
Good luck in your game tonight too. Good luck out there.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
All right, Mike, really appreciate it. Enjoyed the day with you.
Hey, I want to know who wins this sock battle. Don't leave me in the dark on it. All right, I need to know.
We'll do it. So the question is, do we just communicate back with Chris Fisher, or is there a way to get a hold of you?
Hit me up. My email is just mike@mikesmithlive.com. Yeah, just ping me on that. And if you guys need anything, and if a kid is specifically moved, or if a kid specifically goes above and beyond, or if there's a kid who's struggling that you're like, yo, Mike might be able to help, I make follow-up little like videos for kids at schools almost every day. So if you got a kid that's like, Mike, we got one that did something or is, awesome, or might just need a little boost, never hesitate to hit me up, ever. I will always, especially if it's a kid needing it, just hit me up.
Cool. All right. Very good. I'll make sure of that. So yeah, I've already had multiple emails from teachers on how we're going to run our sock challenge so we can make sure Neo Deshay doesn't win. So
I love it, dude.
It's a pretty good rival. Our football game was just a couple weeks ago. And I wanted to throw that out there, just think back to the scoreboard of that football game, but that may have gotten me some trouble when I drove home because I actually live in Neo Deshay. So I like it much more than that. So
they might fork your yard or do something annoying.
I'd be okay if it was just fork my yard, but it might be me getting forked. So
nobody wants that. You don't want that. That's not what you need.
Yeah.
Oh man, fellas, I got my ass kicked by COVID last couple weeks. Like physically got rocked, and I needed today too for my own soul. Good. So know that today was a pick me up for my heart and my soul too. So I really appreciate you guys hanging in there with me.
Appreciate you being here.
Of course. Yeah. We're just glad it finally worked out. We were just getting, like everything, COVID's just jacked it up, but we were glad we could finally get it worked out. And we were concerned with the online format, would this fly, would kids be interested, but just the reaction and stuff I'm seeing in the hallways from our teachers, it made it well worth the efforts and everything we had to go through to make it happen.
I really appreciate that. That's been my concern this whole time, was like, I love being in the breakouts with the kids and almost forcing that one-on-one, like, no, let's go deeper, because I can see them, and I can vibe it. And so maybe it was because we're all small town kids at heart on that call is why it was easier. But I really appreciate the day. Thank you. Truly thank you. It was good for my heart today, for sure.
Good deal. Well, we appreciate it. And hopefully we can stay connected. I'll let you know how the sock drive goes.
Heck yeah, man. Good luck. Take it to them.
If you don't hear anything, that means we lost, but that's
okay.
So, all right. Peace out, man. I appreciate it.